Right, what's happening? Merry Christmas, everyone. So, over the Christmas, I've been watching some videos inspired by a guy called Joe Talks Cars. He has a Cayman similar to mine, and he's just done like a 5-year rundown of the costs. And his number, I mean, spoil alert here, but it was 30 grand. He's absolutely nowhere near what I've spent on mine in 10 years. So I've come for a drive, and I thought I'd go through my version of the cost of owning my car for 10 years. It's especially sort of in my mind because Bensi keeps looking at Porsches and he's put off by so-called running costs because he keeps watching people on YouTube saying they spent £1 million as soon as they get the cars, and that's not my experience whatsoever. So we'll pull up and we'll go through some of the costs. Obviously I'm on a private road here where my mate owns this farm, so I'm not driving on the road and holding a camera at the same time. That would be silly. So yeah, once I pull over at my mate's farm, obviously we will go through the cost of what I've personally experienced on my 20-year-old 113,000 mile whatever it is Cayman, which is very similar to Joe's, but we've had very different sort of experiences. Right, I'm here now, so let's go through some of the costs. Right, so first thing you mentioned was the cost of the car. So we paid similar amounts. I paid 13 for mine, and that was 10 years ago with about 80k on it. He paid 14 for his 5 years ago. So we've paid a very similar amount for the cars. So in that time, his first year, he said he noticed Porsche signs of Porsche, not necessarily issues. So I purposely bought my car with Porsche sort of symptoms, let's say. And where he's dove straight in and had an engine rebuild, cost him 10 grand, I'm still driving around on the exact same engine with the exact same Porsche signs and this, that and the other. It's a massive, I don't know what you'd call it, not a myth, but it's over exaggerated, let's say. So Porsche is a real thing, and realistically for optimal performance, be that fuel consumption or actual power performance, yeah, you want to get it sorted, but it's not as essential as people make it out to be. So I've done absolutely nothing to my car, and it starts and drives and everything perfectly fine. It's done it for nearly 40,000 miles and 10 years, no issues. So his 10 grand bill I've kept in my pocket because I just haven't fixed it. I'm not bothered. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. So if you want an absolutely mint hunky-dory car, spend the money in the first place and get a better car. Don't get one with Porsche issues, because that 10 grand rebuild is about 15 these days. The prices have all gone through the roof, and I'm not bothering. I'm staying, driving around with slightly compromised fuel economy, slightly compromised performance, but it's still, at the end of the day, a 300 horsepower Porsche, and it's fast enough on the road for me for what I'm currently doing. Now, the long game is we're going to get an engine rebuild anyway, but we're going to go for a big bore engine. We're going to go for probably the 4.1, maybe 3.9. We'll see when the time comes. But I'm saving my money for that situation. I'm not rebuilding the engine to the standard spec and spending 10 to 15 grand to have the exact same power I've got now. There's no point for me. I want more performance if I'm dumping that kind of money into it. Otherwise, I'll sell the car and I'll go and buy an R8. Right? The car does not make any sense in my head to do an engine rebuild to the exact same standard specification. Not interested. So if you're going to buy a car, look for one that's got Porsche issues, bid them in the bollocks like what I did. I paid less money 5 years earlier than what this man paid, and I think he paid a fair price, to be fair to him. But the money is, you're not going to get it back after that engine rebuild. If you just do a standard engine rebuild, it's dead money. Just buy a better car, buy a newer one, whatever. Right, next similar cost. As you can see, this is the farm. I wasn't kidding. Next similar cost was his crossover pipes. So mine did a similar thing. Mine failed. But whereas he's paid about 1,200 quid for his, I paid 700. So moral of that story is, shop around. these things do go, and different people know different solutions. You can get quoted at one place twice as much as you can at others, which if you keep watching his video, you'll see he experienced that when he had a subframe replaced and things like that. You can get, someone's going to quote you £4,000 and someone else will quote you 2. Shop around, find someone you trust, and you will get a better price most of the time. Now, they're not cheap, you know, we're not driving on the Civics here. That's not a dig at Bentley, but they do cost a bit of money, but they just don't always cost thousands and thousands of pounds. Sometimes it can be reasonable or more reasonable than your initial quote. So yeah, the crossover pipes are no issue. Mine went at about 100,000 mile and I got that done for about 700 quid from memory, I'm pretty sure. Right, next things that went on it, very similar I suppose, was a clutch and the water pump at a similar time. So at the time there was no lightweight flywheels and stuff available. I had to get it all done standard. So we put standard clutch and flywheel in and whatever else, and the water pump. Now the water pump we did ourselves, me and Bill did it. I'm pretty sure that cost me 100 quid, something like that, for the parts, and we fitted it for free. The clutch I got done somewhere else, and that was all in about, I want to say 800 to 900 quid from memory, I can't remember. It was quite expensive, but no more expensive than a normal car with a normal clutch. So it's not drastically more expensive than anything else really. Now for the coming year I have got a new clutch, new flywheel, new everything. That's all lightweight, high performance stuff. Now that has cost me, I want to say, another £1,000 in parts, and then we've got to fit it all. But I've also got a diff that's about £1,000, and that's on its way, but that's been coming for a month. So another top tip, if you order diffs off people like Teguer and they say that it's going to be delivery in 5 to 7 days, it's not necessarily true, because I've been waiting a month for mine. They've had me money for a month and I've still not got me flipping diff. So Teguer, if you're listening, where's me flipping diff? Come on. And everything else after that I would consider consumables. So I've had a couple of batteries, we've had disc and pads all round once that again me and Bill fitted. So I want to say I paid less than 200 quid. I'm sure it was 185 quid for disc and pads all round Brembos. Standard spec they was, and me and Bill chucked them on, and that was a piece of piss. Then batteries obviously are easy, fit them in 5 minutes on my drive. And then tyres, whatever, it's all just standard stuff really. So I don't really consider them costs, but if you want to consider them, the batteries were about 100 quid each, the brakes were about 180 quid, 185 quid I think from memory. Nothing else has been massively expensive. And then servicing. So servicing, basically I've done most of the services myself, and then every so often I chuck it in to Unique Porsche and Darren there because I trust his opinion, but I don't need his opinion every single time. So I do most of the work myself, and then every maybe 3 or 4 services I chuck it into Darren and get him to give it the once over, and that's how I save money on the car. Now the thing is I'm not a stamp collector. I'm not looking to sell this car anytime soon, or anytime at all, more than likely, with the amount of shite I've super glued to it. So I'm not bothered about the stamps. So I'll do the basics. I'll change the oils and the filters, and I'll check my own brakes and this, that and the other. And then every couple of services, maybe 3, maybe 4, whatever it is, I bung it into Darren, and Darren gives it the once over. Now when it goes to Darren, typically, you know, like any specialist, it's a pretty expensive service. It's not like just whizzing it into your local service centre. So I think the biggest service bill I've had from him is about 700 quid, but he had all sorts on it that time. And then after that, they've been reasonable. They've been like 250, 300 quid, whatever they've been. Nothing major. And then obviously when I do it myself, we're talking 40, 50 quid. We're not talking a lot of money. Put the oil in, change the filters, give it a once over. Plus you've got your MOTs in between, so anything dangerous is getting picked up on the MOTs. And the reason the one service was like 700 quid is because we did all the suspension arms and stuff, which again, as you'll know if you've seen Joe's video or you watch any other Porsche videos for cars of this age, the coffin arms as they call them, because of the shape of them, they're like coffin shape like this. It's a common thing. A lot of people upgrade them to GT3 ones, but again, at the time, everywhere was out of stock, so we just went with standard stuff on mine, and that's why it was 700 quid. So with that included, it's not that expensive really. 700 quid isn't too bad. There we go, let's try this angle for something different. So after that, we've got modifications. So I've spent a little bit of money on modifications. So first is the wheels. I got them off eBay for 400 quid. I probably shouldn't tell you that, because if they go up for sale again, they'll be up for significantly more than that. I recently bought a set of coilovers. They cost me 300 quid for some BCs. Again, most people are paying £1,000, not me. 300 quid I paid for them. We've got that big spoiler on the back that you can sometimes see out the window, but usually from outside shots. I got that along with some other stuff from Ken in China. I'm sure Ken isn't his real name, but anyway, we're in for about £2,000 all in on them. So I got a spoiler. I got the new side vent things that are like an open scoop instead of that 80s slatted thing. There's the one thing that really annoyed me about Caymans. I really was not into them little things on the side. So when Ken popped up and said he can supply me these, I was all over it. I then got the splitter that you've probably seen, and then I need to fit some side skirts and a diffuser that he also sent me. And then additionally to that, Swell paid the cooling and whatever else, longevity of the engine. I got a third radiator and the mustache grill, the smiley mouth grill, whatever you want to call it. And all the ducting and everything from Design 911. Now that was fairly expensive, I suppose, for something that adds no real performance, but it just gives me some confidence for when we take it on the track that we're going to keep the temps in check. So I want to say that all in came to about 800 quid. I can't quite remember. If my numbers are off slightly on that one, then you know, bear with me, but I want to say it was 800 quid. I'm pretty sure at the time, again, the price have all gone up, but the grill was under 100 quid. I think the radiator was like 300 quid. Some of the ducting was a couple hundred quid here and there, whatever it was. Anyway, it comes to about 800 quid in total, I'm quite sure. And as you've seen from my previous videos, I fitted it all myself on my drive. I don't pay people to fit all my stuff, so that's where I save a lot of my money. And that's pretty much it. So we do the maths. I'm well in for well under 20 grand. Well under 20 grand. It's more like 15 grand. And without the modifications, obviously, that's just the running cost. With the modifications, we're well under 20 grand still. And Yonmon spent nearly 30 on his in half the time. So you can save the money. It doesn't have to be massively expensive, and you can drive one of these cars if you live with a couple of the problems. I've still got a couple ongoing problems. This roof liner is one. I'm going to get that fitted or fixed. This window still doesn't work. That's been broke since the day I bought it. Again, it was another reason I got the car for 13 grand 10 years ago. Now the thing is these cars, if you do ever sell them on, they're never going to be worth that much money. This is going to be a 10 grand car, something like that. And so is that Joe's. So he spent 30 grand on a 10 grand car, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. He'd have been better off financing a 30 grand car and then selling it for 20 grand now after 5 years use, and he'd be up by 10 grand. He'd be in a way better position, and he'd arguably have had a better car for the last 5 years as well, because as good as they are, these, and I like them, they're not a brand new modern car. They're an old analog car with old analog car issues. They are not very modern. You don't have CarPlay, you don't have none of this stuff which you would have in a much more modern car. So unless you're like me and you're buying it for a reason, you're going to modify it and this, that and the other and create basically something out of it that is raw and blah blah blah, and you don't want them creature comforts, right? Then fair enough for someone like me. But if you're not going to do that, you'd be better off financing a newer car with all the luxuries and all the things that you want. You're going to look fancier, because that's one of the considerations these people have, is their image. You're going to look like you've got more money. It's going to be worth more when you sell it. All of those things, everything is way more in favour of a newer car on finance than buying a car like this and having to spend money on it in the end anyway. So that pretty much comes to the end of the video, I think. There's not much more else to say. I'm happy with my car. I'm happy with the sub 20 grand I've spent on it. Early 2026, we're going to completely transform this car almost into like an ST or the 911R type of avenue. It'll not have quite the same performance, but it's going to be in that direction, with a light flywheel, with the diff, with the coilovers, and with some other little goodies I've already got stashed away for it. An exhaust is one, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, exhaust. I'll touch on exhaust. So your man there has paid 1,200 quid for a back box. I paid 300 for mine. Stainless steel, same thing. And when I take mine off, I'm going to sell it for 300 quid. So that's going to be free. I might do the same with this suspension. I paid 300 quid for the coilovers. I can sell me standard suspension for more than that on eBay. So that'll be a free modification. The same with the wheels when I finally get around to it. The wheels I took off it are the Porsche Design 19-inch ones. They're worth about 1,100 quid, and I paid 400 for these, so I'll actually be up. So I can actually gain some of my money back and profit from modifying the car, which is something that these other guys are not talking about. So that'll bring my overall costs of the car with the modifications back down to around about 15 grand all in. So anyway, with all that in mind, we've got a lot more to come in 2026. It's going to start rolling out pretty quick, and then we can do some track days, some longer drives out, things like that. Me and Ben's got a few plans to drive more this year, do some driving experiences. So hopefully you'll join us, you'll watch the videos, give us a like and a subscribe and all that sort of stuff if that's what you want to see. Once we get this channel monetized, all the money will be spent on car experiences, whether it's modifications or whether it's actually going on road trips, going to the Nürburgring, all the little things that we can't quite afford. I'll pay for it all out of the channel's money that it brings in, the revenue, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we'll be able to bring you a bit better content. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, whatever. And we'll see you more than likely in 2026. Have a good new year. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive. And give your nan a cuddle. See you there.